Alright boys, let me take you back to 2009 and all the fantastic, amazing, wholesome, truly magical, splendiferous events that took place that year. Picture this, you're at home, playing some Street Fighter 4 on Xbox Live and recording the game in 4K Ultra HD video quality for the world to see in the future. So, you're having a great old time with the game's expansive character roster, ultra combos, and lag-free online play which absolutely no one ever rage quit on. After turning off the game for the day, you hop onto good old 2009 google.com to read more about the game so you can win next year's EVO and become the Grand Champion. But the day is September 28th, so when you Google Street Fighter 4, you end up seeing this instead. What? Street Fighter 4 only came out in February, and they're already doing an update?
Hell yeah.
The sooner we get more Street Fighter, the better, right? Obviously, it goes without saying that Capcom fans are extremely well adjusted and never become outraged at their release schedule, so people all across the globe were delighted to hear the rumors and see the leaked screenshot of T-Hawk about to pummel El Fuerte into non-existence. Soon after, characters who weren't in the original Street Fighter 4 like DJ, Makoto, Guy, and Adon were announced, with even more fan favorites on the way. So if you were a fan of Street Fighter back in 2009, it couldn't get any better. Once the game was revealed, the title of Super Street Fighter 4 was made official, proclaiming to the world that Street Fighter was about to get super once again. Nostalgia aside, Super Street Fighter 4 is freaking awesome in my opinion, and reviewers thought the same about it, considering it's one of the best reviewed fighting games ever. However, we now live in a world where Street Fighter 6 is on its way, so I thought it'd be fun to return to an older yet still somewhat modern revision of Street Fighter. I'll be doing a deep dive in this video, so buckle up, grab your fight stick, and get ready to throw out a Wake Up Ultra, because I'll be talking about Super Street Fighter 4 and remembering why it's still awesome. Since this video is about Super Street Fighter 4, let's go over what made it different to the original console version. To start, there are a bunch of new characters in this game from the previous games in this series, and 2 brand new fighters. The console version of Street Fighter 4 contains 25 characters, and mostly felt like a celebration of Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha, with all the original World Warriors from 2 returning, as well as classic Alpha characters like Rose, Dan, and Sakura. Super dials this up to 11, by including characters from Street Fighter 3 and filling out the rest of Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo's roster, as it includes T-Hawk and DJ. Some other classic characters include Dudley, Makoto, Ibuki, and even Cody and Guy from Final Fight. Not only do we get new characters, but we also get new Ultra combos too. Displayed as the Revenge meter in vanilla Street Fighter 4, Super changes it to the more accurate Ultra meter, and gives all returning characters new Ultra combos. From Kami's provocative Kami Quick Combination Ultra to Ryu's bone-crunching Metsu Shoryuken Ultra, they all look stunning. Another major change concerns the game's overall balance. Characters like Sagat and Akuma were unabashedly broken in the previous game, and while they're still great characters in this version, they, along with the other returning characters, received multiple changes to try and properly balance the game. Pretty much every single character received both buffs and nerfs, meaning that in theory, no one character would dominate the game's competitive scene, but that's another story for another day. If you're interested in the new characters, they include sadomasochistic Korean taekwondo fighter Juri, and arguably the weirdest Street Fighter character ever, Hakan. By oiling himself up, Hakan buffs his range and damage for his command grab. Also, if you like the stages provided by the original version, you're in luck, because Super Street Fighter 4 provides us with new stages, including the fantastic Metro City and Africa stages. Another major addition to the game is the return of Street Fighter 2's bonus stages. No longer will you have to destroy cars with your fists and punch barrels into submission in old 90s fighting games. You can now do it at home in glorious high definition. It would have been nice to see some brand new bonus stage ideas, but hey, these bonus stages are iconic and they absolutely belong in a super edition of a Street Fighter game, so it's fantastic to see them make a return. I've mentioned things that were added into the game, so let's mention what was removed from the original version, namely the time trial and survival modes. These modes were fun additions that I spent lots of time playing back in the day, so it was kind of weird to not see them here. Overall, the new features added into this game make it lots more fun to play than the original, and that's saying something, because the original Street Fighter 4 is pretty damn fun. However, one thing a fighting game can't launch without is online play. Super Street Fighter IV revamped the online experience, introducing a replay channel where you can download and view replays of players from across the world, Team Battle, where up to 8 people can form 2 teams of 4 to battle it out in a team format, and Endless Battle, where up to 8 people join a lobby and play in a winner stays on format, much like how an actual arcade operates minus the Beijing stabbings. But let's say you can't play online for some reason, so let's check out the offline content of the game. First up, we have the classic arcade mode. You pick your character, watch their intro movie, fight some enemies, and then beat Seth to finish the mode. Arcade mode will take you no more than 10 minutes to beat if you know what you're doing and can exploit the AI with constant focus attacks, so this isn't anything special. You do unlock new colors and taunts for completing arcade mode however, so there is an incentive to go through it with every character to unlock all their cosmetics. Next up is Versus mode, which is the usual multiplayer mode. You can play with another person, the CPU, or watch 2 CPU characters fight. Despite what you may think, this is super fun to watch because you can never predict what the AI is going to do next. I'm sure you know what fighting another person involves, so I'm not going to get into it. The penultimate offline mode is Challenge mode. Here, you can take part in the bonus stages to try and get the high score or do combo trials with your favorite characters. Combo trials in fighting games are notorious for their often extremely high difficulty, and Super Street Fighter IV is no exception. They start out pretty easy, with basic special moves, supers, and ultra combos, but then they dial it up to 11 and you have to be a fighting game god to be able to complete them.
Hey, stop!
Finally, we have Training mode, where you can practice combos and situations you might not be familiar with. That's really all the content Super Street Fighter IV has to offer, and it's my only complaint about the game. I know that this is an update to Street Fighter IV and not an entirely new game, so I wasn't expecting anything crazy different, but a fun mode where you can mess around with characters and their abilities like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3's Heroes and Heralds mode would have been nice. If you weren't a fan of the standard arcade mode or combo trials, you'd be out of luck, because Capcom didn't include any substantially different modes never seen before in a Street Fighter game into Super Street Fighter IV. But as this is a fighting game, the appeal of the game is to fight other players and watch the pros do the same at tournaments, and when it came to that, dude, it was sick. Street Fighter pros like Daigo, Infiltration, Takedo, Ryan Hart, Low Tier God, etc. put on a hell of a show with Super Street Fighter IV's competitive scene. From Daigo beating Ricky Ortiz to win EVO 2010, to Mike Ross eliminating GamerB with E Honda in that same tournament, it's safe to say that Super Street Fighter IV had plenty of hype moments that are still wildly entertaining to this very day. However, in typical Capcom fashion, they released Super Street Fighter IV Arcade Edition just over a year after Super had been released. Containing 4 new characters and a slew of balance changes, Arcade Edition was the most played version at the time, and it makes sense as to why. This version of the game included very strong returning characters even after being nerfed, but a classic Street Fighter III character who returned absolutely dominated tier lists and placed high in nearly every tournament. That's right. I'm talking about
Yang.
The game had a very healthy competitive scene in both the East and the West, and for the first time, notable community members used the platform provided by the internet to share themselves playing the game. From Gods Guarded in Japan to the excellent adventures of Gutex and Micros in America, Super Street Fighter IV was popping off in the FGC, both in real-life tournaments and on the internet. Die-hard fighting game fans and casuals both loved the game, and critics shared the same sentiment. I'm aware that not everyone likes Metacritic for a multitude of reasons, but it's convenient so we're gonna use it. Super Street Fighter IV has a 92 on Metacritic, which is crazy for a fighting game. Just think about that for a second. A fighting game with no story mode, no tutorial, no survival, and no time trial mode is now one of the most critically acclaimed fighting games of all time. It has a higher score than games like Tekken 5, Mortal Kombat 11, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, etc. The lowest scored review I can find for the game is an 8 out of 10 from the gaming publication with quite possibly the worst name ever, Hardcore Gamer. Hell, even known harsh critic Edge gave the game a 9 out of 10 on release, and then retroactively changed it to a 10 out of 10 in 2014, making it one of the 23 games in their entire history as a review outlet to receive a perfect score. It's safe to say that critics love Super Street Fighter 4 even more than they did the original version, which was also released to critical acclaim. The inclusion of classic characters missing from the previous version, return of bonus stages, and a revamped online experience meant that people from all skill levels had something to dig their teeth into as they attempted to land one-frame links and FADC combos. I made this video to cherish Super Street Fighter 4 in all its glory. This may sound weird, but the closest thing to this game in my opinion is Street Fighter 6, oddly enough. Both games represent a new era of Street Fighter to me with their brand new modes, characters, and features. Sure, this can also apply to Street Fighter 5, but that game was unfinished at launch, and it left a sour taste in the mouths of fighting game fans, myself included. In my mind, Street Fighter 6 and Super Street Fighter 4 both represent a bright future for the series, with boatloads of new players picking up a pad, fight stick, or whatever fighting game players use nowadays to start throwing fireballs and uppercuts. I think Super Street Fighter 4 is a very special fighting game, and I wanted to express that in this video, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you don't like the game, that's fine, and I'm honestly not sure why you watched this video until the end if you don't like it, but hey, thanks for the view. Thank you for watching, I hope you had fun, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.